to Michelle's Opinions. As we are all waking up, we see the changes all around us, and we're growing into this new understanding of who we are. We learn that we are limitless. We share the tools for growth and better understanding. I have 17 years of experience and many tools in my toolbox that I want to share with you to help you to understand and teach you to be the sovereign being that you are. Welcome to the family, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Michelle's Opinions. Today on Michelle's Opinions, we're going to dive deep into, do we live in a simulation? 10 reasons life may be a computer simulation. Yeah, let's get into this. Philosophers as far back as Plato, millennia ago, speculated that what we see may not be real at all. With the advent of computers, the idea took on new life, especially in recent years with films like Inception, Dark City, and the Matrix trilogy. It is possible that the world is just a computer simulation. Ancestor simulators. Wow, okay. Computers now process huge amounts of data, and some of the most intense and productive tasks involves simulations. Simulations consider multiple variables and use artificial intelligence to analyze them and examine outcomes. Some simulations are games. Some are models of real-life situations. Some a spread of disease. Some are history simulators, which can be games like, or they can mimic the real-life growth of a society over time. I don't know about you guys, but I used to play Farmville all the time, and Mafia Wars. Some of the games that I enjoyed quite a bit. That's how simulations run now. But computers keep getting faster. Processing power has doubled periodically for decades. And computers 50 years from now may well be millions of times more powerful than any today. Better computers would bring much bigger and better computer simulators, including history simulators. If computers get powerful enough, they would create history simulations so real that the self-aware beings within them would have no idea they were part of a program. Think that's too far out there? I sure don't. I think about a lot of the things that are going on around us, and with finding out Mandela effect and how pliable, I think that we are walking CERN units. We'll get into that here in a little bit. If someone can, they will. Okay, so it may be possible to create a universe inside a computer, but would it be moral? Humans are complex beings with feelings and relationships. There be something wrong in creating a whole fake world of them. Wouldn't the responsibility for every action in that universe fall on our shoulders? And wouldn't it be too much for us to bear? Maybe, but does it matter? Because to some people, the idea of running a simulation would be just too tempting. And even if, for whatever reason, history simulators were illegal, it would take a single person to run one and create our reality. It would take just one person who'd consider the matter no more significant than a game. Oh my goodness. People may also have good reasons for creating such simulators beyond just entertainment. Humanity could be facing death, forcing scientists to create a world as a massive diagnostic test. The simulator would help them find out what went wrong with their real world and figure out how to save themselves. Okay, let's look at some flaws that could be problematic in this, one person running it all. Computer simulation, which apparently is a probability and theoretical that is where we are now. Alright, if a simulation is advanced enough, those inside needn't recognize it as a simulation at all. If you were to grow a brain in a vat and manipulate it with stimuli, it's in a vat. It wouldn't assume itself as a living, breathing, active person. Excuse me. Even advanced simulations can have flaws, right? Wouldn't we have noticed some imperfection, some glitch in the matrix, like the Mandela effect? Maybe we do see such glitches in our everyday lives. The Matrix, I love that movie, offered the example of deja vu. How many of us suffer deja vu all the time? When something seems inexplicably familiar, the simulation may be skipping. Like, is that the same black cat? Like a scratched CD. Supernatural elements like ghosts, miracles, could also be glitches. According to the simulation theory, people really do witness these phenomena, and they do so because of bugs in the simulation's code. Oh my gosh, the internet offers plenty of anecdotal evidence of these glitches, but keep your eyes open and maybe you'll see some for yourself. Awareness is key in everything we do, guys. We're seeing the glitches. We're seeing these things go on around us. There's a reason for everything. Math makes up life. Everything in the universe is quantifiable in some way. Even life is quantifiable. Despite medicine's long reputation as an inact science, the Human Genome Project, which sequenced the chemical base pairs that make up the human DNA, was solved using computers. All the secrets of the universe are solved using math. In fact, we can explain the universe better using math than we can using words. If everything is mathematical, everything could be broken down to binary code. So, if computers and their data process enough, could a functional human be creating using the genome sequence inside a computer? If you can build one, being, might you be able to build a whole world of them? Scientists speculate that someone may have already done that and created our world. To determine whether we're living in a simulation, researchers are undertaking serious investigations by examining the math that makes up our universe. This goes along with just like I've been saying, are we walking CERN units? Think about how our brains fire off, how our heart beats and it is magnetic, how our lungs take in oxygen and then process it. I mean, our bodies are like walking computer systems, but they're avatars that we inhabit. Is there a possibility that we're laying on a table somewhere with virtual reality glasses on? Just some food for thought, guys. The Theanthropic Principle. It's amazing that humans exist. For example, for life to start on Earth, we needed everything to be just right. We're the perfect distance away from the sun. The atmosphere has the correct composition, and gravity is just powerful enough. And though there may be many other planets with those conditions, life gets even more impressive when you widen your perspective beyond Earth. If some cosmic factor like dark energy were even a little stronger, life probably wouldn't exist, either here or anywhere else in the universe. The Theanthropic Principle asks why. Why did these conditions come about so perfectly for us? One explanation is that conditions were deliberately set in place with the intention of giving us life. Every convenient factor was a fixed condition in some vast lab experiment. These factors were just plugged into the universe, and then the simulation was started. This let existence in our individual planet evolve the way that it has. A consequence of this is that those behind the simulation needn't be humans at all. Some other set of beings may be running it, and they choose to hide their presence from us. Perhaps alien life knows how to manipulate the computer program and can make themselves invisible to us. This makes me think about Westworld, how they would look at images on Westworld and they would be, I don't see anything. I see nothing. And when they're looking at a photograph of the real world. Something to ponder and think about, guys. Okay, now let's get into parallel universes. Yeah, let's go there. The theory of parallel worlds, or the multiverse, posits an infinite number of realities with an infinite number of possibilities within them. Picture the floors of an apartment building. Universes are part of a multiverse, much like the floors are part of a building. They share a common layout, but each is distinct and they'll contain different things. The theory has all sorts of crazy implications for the meaning of life. But if there really are multiple universes, why did they come about? How come there are so many? If we're in a simulation, the multiple universes and the multiple simulations running at once, each simulation has its own set of variables, and it isn't random. The simulation's creator plugged in different variables to test the different scenarios and observe the different outcomes. Fermis Paradox. Our planet is one of many with conditions that could support life, and our sun is quite young compared to others in the universe. You therefore might expect proof of life elsewhere, from planets where life runs parallel to ours, or from ones where life began eons earlier. Furthermore, humans have ventured into space, so shouldn't civilizations elsewhere have also tried space travel? With a billion other galaxies out there, some of which are billions of years older than ours, wouldn't at least one of them have mastered space travel? Since Earth has the conditions for life, you'd even expect Earth to have been colonized by an advanced civilization at some point. Yet we have found no trace of any other form of intelligent life in the universe. The Fermi Paradox can simply be summed up as, where is everybody? This ties back into simulation theory in a few different ways. If life should exist elsewhere, but only exists on Earth, that could be evidence that we're in a simulation. Those behind the simulation chose to simulate life nowhere else for simplicity, or to see how humans do alone. The multiverse theory says that there is indeed life on other planets. In most universe simulations, ours is simply the one simulation that puts us alone in the universe. Going back to the Theanthropic Principle, it could be this universe was created just for us. Another theory, the planetarium hypothesis, offers a more possible answer. The simulation made various populated planets, each wrongly thinking themselves alone in the universe. Perhaps the simulation aims to test the effects of ego boosting on civilization. Yeah, ego. How does God fit into all of this? Is God a programmer? People have long exchanged ideas of a God as a designer of the world. Some imagine one particular God as a bearded man in the clouds. But simulation theory says that God, or any other, may instead be a programmer hunched over a keyboard. As we've established, a programmer can create worlds out of simple binary. The only question then is why the programmer would encode within us the desire to worship our Creator, a key part of most religions. This could be intentional or unintentional. Perhaps the programmer wants us to know that he or she exists and wrote the code to give us an innate feeling of having been created. Maybe the programmer intended nothing of the sort, but we've intuitively made a creator existence nonetheless. The idea of God as a programmer even goes along with the idea of intelligent design in two different ways. The first is that code started life, letting everything evolve within the simulator to where we are today. The second is that it might make literal creationism exactly right. Just like the Bible says, God created the world and life in 7 days. But he would have had to have used a computer rather than cosmic powers. So, food for thought on that one, guys. What if we actually got outside of the universe and found those that are creating this simulation we're in, only to find out that they too themselves, unaware, but are in a simulation themselves? Yeah, let's get into that, guys. Layers upon layers. What's outside of our universe? With the simulation theory, that answer could seem to be a supercomputer surrounded by advanced beings. But an even crazier possibility exists. Those beings who run this simulation might be as fake as we are. There may be multiple layers of simulation. Oh, the post-humans running our simulations are themselves simulated beings, and their creator in turn may also be simulated beings. Here may be room for a large number of layers of reality. We've often talked about the different layers and 33 degrees and 13 or 9 or trying to get to the 5th dimension. The number could be increasing also over time. It's like you sat down at a game of Sims and played it until your characters created a Sims game of their own. Their Sims in turn programmed and played their own game, while you are secretly part of an even larger simulation. This still leaves a question. What is outside the creator's real universe? It's an idea so far removed from our lives that it could be possible or impossible, just impossible, to speculate on it. But if simulation theory can at least explain our universe's limited size, and note what's immediately outside it, well, that's a good start in determining what's the nature of existence. And like I've been saying, the things that we've been seeing are just begging for us to be seen and be shown that we are like walking CERN antenna, able to conduct and receive, create, have say-so here. And with the Mandela effect, the deja vu, the glitches, as some would call it, our DNA being reactivated. There's a lot going on here, guys, that could all tie into a simulation. Let's get into non-character players, bots, background people, fake people. Fake people, yeah, they make for an easy simulation. Even if computers get vastly more powerful, the universe might seem too much, too complex to fit in one. Each of the 7 billion people currently alive in this would be enough to revile any computer imaginable. And we're a huge part of a vast universe, which contains billions of galaxies besides ours. It would be incredibly difficult difficult, if not impossible, to take into account that many variables. But a simulation world needn't be anywhere as complex as it seems. A convincing simulation would need just a few detailed key figures, and then a great many barely sketched secondary players. Games, you know, like Grand Theft Auto, or, you know, those, any game that you play, you know, even The Simpsons, that game, all of them, or Sims games. They contain hundreds of people, but you only interact with a few. Life could be very much like that. You have yourself, you have your close family and friends, but everyone you pass on the street, they're not real. They have few thoughts and no emotions. They're little more than set dressings, props. Let's stick with an open world video game analogy for a bit. These games contain large worlds, but only your current location contains true action at any one time. Reality could run the same way. Areas out of sight could be stored in memory and are brought up only when needed, saving huge amounts of processing power. And what about distant areas that you'll never visit, such as all those other galaxies? The simulation would never even have to run those areas. They could just put up an image, something to display for you to view them. Don't have to get into much detail with that. But never mind people on the street or distant stars. You don't even have to prove that you exist, at least as the person you imagine. So, we think about the past like it's happened, like we have memories, and because of records like photos or books, it convinces us that it's happened. But what if all that was just freshly written code? What if your life was turned on the last time you blinked your eyes? This is a disturbing thing that is impossible to prove or disprove. That's what's disturbing about it. How do we prove it or disprove it? We've got so much going on. You know, the simulation theory is just absolutely amazing to at least bring into our perspective and acknowledge it for what it may be or may not be. We should be open-minded enough to be able to look at all areas of it, whether as an observer or participant, which again would be a simulation theory type analogy. How many of us have heard the term superposition? Well, in the simulation, while it was working properly, it was all ones and zeros. Just like we make choices, it was polarized. It was either a true or a false. Well, what if some of us, a lot of us, are going into what is called superposition, which means we're no longer a 1 or a 0, but we are a 1 and 0 simultaneously. How do we know if we are coming close to breaking out of the simulation? You will usually have several programmed background people, non-participant or non-character players, bots, come at you from every direction with knowing your weaknesses. I mean, this is the system. They know all about us. As you're getting close, they will use whatever they think will scare you or bring you back down with humiliation, shaming, or fear to put you back into the matrix, back into the simulation. How dare you have those thoughts? How dare you touch that? How dare you look at that? So, if people are doing those kind of things to you, keep pressing through. Now, this is all theory. These are all just thoughts, opinions, so to speak. And I will put the article that I did use for this presentation in the show more notes for you, as I always do. But a lot of this has been from my own gleaning, my own understanding, and my own what we learn in our sleep, the understandings, like the sacred geometry, the numeric patterns, the coding. It goes along with frequency and all those other wonderful things that I will be sharing with you to help to break us out of this. Food for thought here. What if you're laying on a table with a pair of virtual reality glasses on, but it's such an advanced virtual reality that your consciousness actually, think about the movie Avatar, goes into the game. And if they were to remove the glasses from you, they could completely damage you. So the only way out is to break the programming. And they can send you care packages and nudges and help so that way you can get out. But just like Neo in the Matrix, there's a lot of Agent Smiths out there that are so deeply programmed and they're just running off of the programming. I'm not saying they can't break their programming, but what I'm saying is they come after you like wolves to try to tear you down and to bring you back underneath of a control matrix that we are all breaking free from. I really hope that you guys all enjoyed this episode of Michelle's opinions on, are we in a simulation? I've got much more coming for you guys. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I love you all. Peace. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Michelle's Opinions. We're on this journey together. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You may want to bookmark this page. You can sponsor the channel for as little as a cup of coffee a month. But if you bookmark this page, we can continue on with the work there free of charge on their platform. I will see you soon. I love you all so much. Have a great day. Peace.